We are now ready to talk a little French Open with our next guest. She's been on this program before, and Mokon's had a chance to butcher her name before as well.
I did win the Rendezvous, did I not?
Yes, she was on Game Point's Rendezvous once, and as a pity gesture, she picked you.
I don't think so.
You can see her work on tennisconnected.com. You can also follow her on twitter.com/Lyra Pappin, LYRAPAPPIN. We welcome to the show Lyra Pappin. Hey, Lyra, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I am very well. Very well, thanks. What are you up to this evening?
I am trying to stay awake for you. And
I've heard that before. That's okay.
I was waiting to see how you were going to segue from hockey into tennis there, but you kind of just breezed over it. So
not bad, right? Oh, you thought I was going to do one of those lame segues? Something like the Kings are going hard to the net. Speaking of net, let's talk a little, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I know you could have. It's all that matters.
Yeah, or these players, they got some balls on them. Speaking of balls, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Enough of that silliness. Lyra, are you looking forward to the French Open upcoming?
I am looking forward to the French Open. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen. We'll know a lot more when the draws come out on the 24th, so we're still a couple days away from knowing exactly how the players are going to be ranked and who's going to be paired against who, but it'll be an interesting year for sure with Murray most likely out injured, and Federer, hasn't had as much success this year as he did last year coming into it, so it'll be a weird one.
Lyra, looking at the draw, of course, Rafael Nadal breezed by Roger Federer at the Rome Open on Sunday. Would you say, though, that Nadal looks vulnerable given how much injuries he's gone through the last 2.5 years, 3 years of his gameplay, where he has not been healthy for a full year and God knows how long?
I would say the only place he's vulnerable is that I don't think he has this kind of invincibility around him from the rest of the players as he might have used to. He still obviously has a huge advantage. I mean, he's a 7-time champion. He's looking for his 3rd consecutive title. So he's definitely the favorite going into this tournament, especially, like I said, with some of the other guys not having as successful a season so far. But wouldn't be surprised to see Djokovic right there in the end as well. And, yeah, like you said, I mean, his injuries have definitely plagued him, but he certainly focuses on the clay season, and Roland Garros has always been his most successful, so he'll definitely be a big threat here.
Lyra, you mentioned that Andy Murray likely won't be playing in the French Open, obviously a back issue that's been lingering for him. Do you see this as being a problem in upcoming tournaments as well?
I really hope not. I mean, it's unfortunate. He's only 26. It was his 26th birthday when this injury struck him down. He was a set down, and then he came back and won a tie break, and then unfortunately had to retire based on the back injury. So we really would hope, just for the sport of tennis, that he's going to be able to come through this, and hopefully it's just a temporary thing and not something that'll turn into a long-term injury for him, because he is someone that a lot of fans root for, and he's kind of been the perennial underdog, and he worked his way back up to world number 2. He's going to lose that seeding based on the injury, but I mean, all we can do is hope right now that it's not going to be something that bothers him going forward.
Chatting with Lyra Pappin from tennisconnected.com, getting ready for some French Open action. Now, Lyra, the Williams sisters, always a lot of drama about them, but lo and behold, I was flipping through the channels the other day, and I saw Serena Williams actually playing in a tournament on the court playing tennis, which apparently doesn't happen all that often. So what are her chances coming in?
I think this is one of the tournaments that, I mean, Serena, it's definitely, they practically say this about everybody, that clay isn't their best surface. So it's not her best surface, but it's a surface she still has something to prove on. With Maria Sharapova being the defending champion, and Serena and Maria definitely have kind of a bitter background. They say in public they get along, but it doesn't really ever look that way on the court, and Maria has suffered some of her greatest losses to Serena. So I think that's something that Serena has in mind. She'll want to unseed the most recent champion and take that trophy for her own, and she's looking pretty good this year so far to do it.
All right, elsewhere, give me the lowdown on the Canadians that will be on both sides of the gender draws here.
Again, like I just said,
that was a weird way of putting it, right?
I mean, yeah, sure, but it's just that, clay is not the best service for any of the Canadians. Milos Raonic obviously would have the greatest chance to go forward in this tournament, being the most highly ranked player for the Canadians, but, he hasn't done so well. He's on clay, and he's got a lot to work on, and, I think he'd be happy with, like a fourth round, and it'll be interesting to see which side of the draw he comes out in order to kind of better predict his chances, but I think we're looking at underdogs across the board, unfortunately, for Canadians. Someone to keep their eye on for the women's side might be Jenny Bouchard, who will be in the qualifiers. Look to see what she might be able to do, but I think for the most part for Canadians, it'll be a tournament where they're going to be picking up experience more than anything.
All right. Any other intriguing storylines that you're following coming into this tournament? A player maybe that you're anxious to see or excited to see that maybe isn't a top 1 or 2 player?
I think, like you said, because clay is sort of unpredictable and Nadal's had a little bit of an iffy year, it'll be interesting to see if any of the guys in the top 10 could make their move in this tournament. It'd be pretty bold. It'd be a good time right now with Djokovic not defending a couple of his titles, and Federer, again, also having sort of not great results recently. Maybe it could be a time where someone like a Jo Wilfried Tsonga or Thomas Berdych could make their move and actually kind of ascend and throw in a new champion to the title. Definitely a long shot, and they're all kind of considered dark horses for this, but I think, you can get some really kind of surprising results on clay and look for a lot of upsets. All
right. Now, I wanted to get your thoughts on an off-court storyline, which is the father of Bernard Tomic. Now, Bernard Tomic's father is charged with assaulting his son's hitting partner after allegedly headbutting him near their hotel during last week's Madrid Open. Now, that's just a bizarre storyline, to say the least, right? Dad, stop headbutting my hitting partner. I need to practice. It's a weird storyline, but it's not as if Tomic is a fringe player. He's ranked number 59 right now in the world, a German player at the age of 20, and he's a guy who many expect big things out of.
He is, and he's still young, and he's had his own problems with tempers and maturity and comments he's made on and off the court. So I think, and there's actually always been turmoil with his dad. I think there's been moments where the two of them are fighting during his match, and his dad's sort of been asked to leave, and it's been kind of a tumultuous relationship between them, and also a tumultuous relationship for Tomic himself on the court. So hopefully it'll, on the legal side, that stuff, will hopefully just have to sort itself out through the proper channels. But for Tomic himself, hopefully he will be able to just focus on his career, and maybe it'll even be a good thing for him going forward to have to kind of go out there on his own and recognize, sort of the things that are going to bring him success in his career and the other things that are just going to hold him back or, cause him to lose focus. So, he's going to have a tough, draw ahead of him too, as well as in the French Open, but we'll see what he does if he's able to maintain focus.
Lyra, of course, the French Open is one of the 4 majors on the tennis circuit right now, and there's been talk about the French Open kind of lagging behind in terms of stadium amenities and the whole structure of it being more old school, where we've seen Wimbledon improve their structures. We've seen the U.S. Open and the Australian Open do a lot more with their stadiums and whatnot here. Are we going to see the French Open make some improvements to their tennis stadiums, or are we going to see the same old school-looking stadium for years to come?
I think for the French Open, it's something that the organizers will have to look at really seriously in terms of how much support they get, not only locally but internationally as well. I think tennis is generally more popular in Europe than North America, so they do have the fan support, and they might not hear as much of the criticism directly to them, but I'm sure they're aware every sport wants to modernize, every sport wants to appeal to TV audiences and have as wide a scope as they possibly can to attract the most fans. So I think they'll continue to modernize with the times, but also emphasize a really strong, preference or support of the tradition of the courts and everything that they've offered the fans in the years past.
Well, Lyra, we always appreciate your time. TennisConnected.com, or you can check out Twitter.com/Lyra Pappin. Thanks so much again, and enjoy the French Open. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the hockey.